Tom Fitzgerald spoke to the media and he discussed the offseason so far for the New Jersey Devils. Was it a home run or did they miss a few pieces? We have a lot to break down in today's episode of Locked On Devils. Buckle up, everybody.
You're Locked On Devils, your daily podcast on the New Jersey Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, this is Bryce Salvador, and you're Locked On Devils with Trey Matthews.
Scores! Oh, Stevens stepped up, nailed it. Brodor's got the puck. What a shot. The Devils win the Stanley Cup.
Alrighty now, what is up, New Jersey? Welcome back to the Locked On Devils podcast here on Locked On Network. I'm your host, College Hockey Club play announcer, Devils Writer for Pucks and Pitchforks, and also part-time credential media member, Trey Matthews. Happy 4th of July to all those who celebrate. And what better way to kick off your holiday than to be here with me talking all things New Jersey Devils. Honestly, I think I could come up with a few other ideas, but you're here now. Why don't you stay a while? In all seriousness, this is my 9th episode in the past 10 days, and even on a holiday, the grind does not end because the New Jersey Devils continue to make moves. And Tom Fitzgerald recently spoke to the media as he talked about some of the changes that the Devils made, whether it was via a trade or free agency. He gave some updates on injuries. He talked about the future of the team, his confidence moving forward. Basically, there was a lot that Tom Fitzgerald discussed during his recent press conference. It lasted for about 30 minutes. And I want to play a few of his clips throughout the episode and share my thoughts on the matter, because Fitzgerald talked about a lot of things that I've talked about on this show, and he sort of agreed with my mindset in terms of the success of free agency, what did the Devils truly need, and where the Devils go from here. Like I said, he talked about all sorts of things. I can't touch on every single topic, but just to give you guys a speed run as to some things that you might be curious about, when it comes to injuries, Dougie Hamilton, 100%. Jack Hughes and Timo Meier, they are on pace to join the team come training camp. Cap space-wise, the Devils are done. I think their main focus is to re-sign Dawson Mercer. Fitzgerald did say that Mercer is a part of the future plan, and he basically said that Mercer's agent and himself put the negotiations on pause because other things took priority. But I think we can expect Dawson Mercer to return to the Devils roster this upcoming season. And he is satisfied with the Jacob Markstrom trade because he had to think about this from an investment standpoint, and he didn't want to sacrifice too much. And it seemed like he really wanted to hold on to that 10th overall pick. And when contemplating who to draft, he said that he ultimately settled with Anton Salayev because that guy is like 6'7". He skates really well, and he might be an absolute gem for the Devils down the road. And while Salayev was at development camp, it'll be another 2 years before he actually suits up in a game for the Devils. But like I've said in a prior episode, that actually fits the window for New Jersey. So some of their other young defensemen can develop, like Luke Hughes, Shimo Nemitz, Santeri Hatakka, Seamus Casey. Give those guys some time to find their footing in the NHL. And then once Salayev is ready to come over to the States and participate in an NHL game, I think those previous young defensemen that I mentioned, their games are going to elevate in more ways than one. All right. In the first segment, we're going to talk about the changes that the Devils made, whether it was via trade or free agency. Then in the second segment, we'll focus on the current Devils roster. Fitzgerald touched on the top 6 and also the playoffs. And then in the third and final segment, Fitzgerald said something rather interesting in terms of New Jersey being a hot destination for players, because a few years ago, the Devils were rebuilding and no one really wanted to come to New Jersey, which made things rather difficult for the Devils to attract a big name player. I remember a couple summers ago, I thought the Devils would land unrestricted free agent Johnny Gaudreau, but that didn't come into fruition. I know there's some other narrative surrounding that matter, but just giving you an example that sometimes when it comes to big name free agents or just big name players in general, New Jersey was never really at the top of anyone's list, but that changed in summer 2021 when a certain defenseman decided to sign a long-term deal, and we'll talk about that momentarily. But first, I want to play the soundbite that Fitzgerald discussed during his press conference in which he touched on his bucket list and did he check off all those boxes? Take a listen.
You know, we had a punch list we wanted to go through at the end of the year last time I saw you guys, and I probably was, you could tell I was adamant on what kind of changes I wanted to make, and I believe we did that. You know, starting with, a new coach, goaltending, depth D, harder D, revamping the defense, looking for our bottom six to look a little bit different than vanilla, I think I used before. And we've checked those boxes for sure and added more depth. That's what we wanted to do.
All right, let's recap. He said he was looking for a coach. Check. He got Sheldon Keefe. I think that was a good hire. He was looking for a goalie. Check. Jacob Markstrom. More defensive depth and harder defensemen. He got Brendan Dillon, very physical player, and Brett Pesce, not really the most physical guy, but he certainly adds more depth. And Jonathan Kovacevic, he's pretty solid. And we'll see what happens with Seamus Casey, but he's going to have to start off in the AHL before he gets consistent reps at the NHL level. And he also touched on the bottom six and said it was a little too vanilla. And that's why he added players like Paul Cotter and Stefan Noesen, two guys who can throw their weight around. Cotter needs to work on being a little more consistent. And then Noesen, he has developed his game a lot the past few seasons. And it was really impressive to see his growth and development, because here's a guy just a few years ago was in the AHL and he was racking up big numbers, and he had to wait a while before he got his shot with the Hurricanes. He took the most out of it, and now he signed a 3-year deal to return to New Jersey. And he also touched on the Markstrom discount. Like I said, trades are an investment, and I think Fitzgerald made the smart investment going for Markstrom, so that way he didn't have to sacrifice too much. This is something that I've been talking about in recent episodes. The Devils did what they were supposed to do during free agency. I know a lot of people wanted the Devils to go after some big name players, primarily offensive players. We'll talk more about that in the second segment because Fitzgerald also touched on that. But all of the complaints that people had just this past season for Devils have been fixed. They needed a better goalie. Okay, they get Jacob Markstrom. They needed a better coach. Sheldon Keefe, while he never made it past the second round in Toronto, the core four saw a lot of offensive success, and the Maple Leafs had, 3 straight seasons in which they finished with 100-plus points, and I think Sheldon Keefe played a big role in that. And the defense has also revamped. Now the Devils have more defensive-minded defensemen, and it can kind of balance out a little bit more, similar to what happened during the 2022-2023 season, because I said the Devils missed the production of Damon Severson and Ryan Graves. And as for the bottom six, we know that the roster kind of went down a little bit when Michael McLeod had to take his quote-unquote leave of absence, and McLeod was a pretty decent two-way player, great in the faceoffs, and that sort of shook up the Devils a little bit. And there goes a key depth asset. Now you replace that with Noesen and Cotter. And similar to what my buddy Jersey Joe would say, the Devils added more Sasquatches and they added a lot more size. I think there's only a few players on the Devils roster that are under 6 feet. It was clear that the point of emphasis for New Jersey this offseason was to add more physicality and to also just shake things up a little bit more. And they didn't need to go after a big offensive player because they have plenty of offense. That was not the issue, and Fitzy touched on that. But for this offseason in particular, I think Fitzgerald checked off all the boxes and he fixed all the glaring issues that the Devils had this past season. Would it be nice if they added Brady Tkachuk? Would it be nice if they added, who else? Like Steven Stamkos or Jonathan Marchessault, maybe even a Martin Necas? Sure, but at the same time, are those needs or are those wants? Because I think the Devils fixed their needs. Once again, goaltending, more defensive depth, grittier defensemen, and also just getting more size and scoring production on their bottom six. And we'll see where Tomas Tatar slides into it. Fitzgerald did say that he might see Tatar paired alongside Dawson Mercer and Nico Hischier because those three saw great success a couple seasons ago. But he said that's up to Shelton Keefe. But I think the main thing for Tatar is that he has to replace the scoring production of Alexander Holtz. And I know Tatar is capable of doing so if he has the right line mates. And I think this system will work into Tatar's favor. All right, we're going to talk more about the current Devils momentarily. But before we continue, let me tell you about Game Time. I've actually used the Game Time app before to purchase myself some MLB and NBA tickets. Priority last minute deal, save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. Flash deals, save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or event. Zone deals, save even more when you choose a section and let Game Time choose the seats. All-in pricing, toggling this feature shows the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkouts. The lowest price guarantee or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Game Time ticket coverage, your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in ticketing industry. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right. Like I said in the previous segment, there were all sorts of rumors and speculations, whether there was truth to it or not, that the Devils were pursuing a big name player because Fitzgerald said he wanted to go big game hunting, and basically a lot of people's imaginations roamed free. People were saying that the Devils could get Brady Tkachuk, and I said that's not realistic. Or right before the draft, reports were saying that the Devils were open to trading away their 10th overall pick for Martin Necas, or once free agency begins, the Devils will talk to Jonathan Marchessault and Steven Stamkos. Fitzgerald talked about the top six for the Devils, and here's what he had to say.
I think when you look at top six, I think we have plenty top six players. And I also think we've got enough complementary top six players that can play with true top six guys. And I'm not sure how many teams in the league actually have top six guys, right? So, the Thomas Tatar trade was a player that very familiar with. We know he's played really well with top six guys on our team. So it just gives us more flexibility. But when your phone rings, like we talked earlier, from true top six players, and you listen to them because they identified you as a team that they think they would really fit. And then it's a matter of working out the details of a contract. I went through my punch list with you. What was the one thing I didn't talk about? I wasn't worried about offense with this group. We've got enough offense here. With that being said, a guy like Dawson Mercer is going to get an opportunity to continue to grow and explode, hopefully, in that. And then it's by committee. You're hoping the Tatars and the Cotters and the Nasons are all chipping in that 15 goal to make up a goal difference. But at the end of the day, Jack, Nico, Timo, Bratter, more from Palat offensively. We feel we'll continue to get that.
The key thing I want to highlight is that the Devils have a lot of top six options. Scoring was not their issue. Jack Hughes, Jesper Bratt, Nico Hischier, Timo Meier, Dawson Mercer, and I guess Fitzy threw Andre Palat into the mix, but he said that Andre Palat needs to have better scoring production, and I think a lot of people, including myself, can agree with that. I think Eric Holla was also an underrated scorer, and Tomas Tatar, he was fantastic with the Devils a couple seasons ago, like I alluded to in segment one. But the thing is, the Devils' offense is already taken care of for the most part. They didn't need to go after some of the players that I just listed because they already have some of those assets. I think the key thing for some of those players that I just listed is that they have to stay healthy. That's the big thing. Can Jack Hughes stay healthy? Can Nico Hischier stay healthy? We know that Jesper Bratt he's going to suit up in most, if not all, the games. And I'll throw in Dougie Hamilton into the mix as well, even though he's a defenseman. Dougie Hamilton is capable of racking up the points, and he has a wicked good clapper. Offense, not the issue for Devils, and that's what Fitzgerald touched on. And going back to what I said in segment 1, the Devils did a good job in terms of filling necessities and not really going after a want. Let me just ask you this. Would it be cool to have Stamkos, Marchessault, Natchez, or Tkachuk? Yes, absolutely. But think of it from this perspective. Do they need those players, or do they just want those players? Because I know people were saying that Brady Tkachuk, he's a good scorer, but he's also very physical. I think you could get physicality at a much cheaper clip if you ask me, but that's just my personal opinion. I agree with Fitzy. Top 6, scoring in general, not an issue for Devils. And then Fitzy also touched on the playoffs and how he expects his team to mesh together come the start of the season. Take a listen.
We're just trying to take one step at a time. You know, playoffs is here, but we need to get there first. And every game's a playoff game. You know, that should be our mentality to be ready for the playoffs. But at the end of the day, we got to get there first. You know, we have to get there. We have to play the right way. We have to be committed. We have to be connected, and we have to be highly competitive. First and foremost, we have to follow directions when it comes to systems. We have to be trustworthy for one another. And I think now that we've created a more mature team, I think the older voices will help guide the younger guys to really the right way to play. And I think last year, in hindsight, will be the silver lining with these guys. Because they're hungry. Our young players are hungry, and they realize that they're not getting younger, they're getting older, and now is the time. So we'll start with, not put the cart before the horse, have a great camp, great start to the season, and just worry about today versus worrying about tomorrow. Tomorrow will take care of itself, meaning the playoffs if we play the right way.
I see the jokes all the time. Sheldon Keefe being a former head coach for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and people are saying like the Devils are never going to make it past the first round. The Devils are only going to see regular season success, yada, yada, yada. Look, if the Devils make it to the first round, then they already did better compared to last year. Just saying. Because last year, they missed the playoffs totally. Now they get back to the playoffs, and if they make it past the first round and beyond, everything else is just gravy. The goal for the Devils this season is to get back to the playoffs. And I'm not saying like that's their ceiling. I'm just saying right now, similar to what Fitzgerald said, you got to take it game by game. You got to take your time with it. And you need to get to the playoffs first before you see what's left in the future. But speaking of which, we've been talking about the current assets on the Devils roster. We've been talking about how much potential they have. But Fitzgerald said something that I think caught the Devils discourse by storm, in which he said that New Jersey is now a hot ticket in the NHL. The Devils have been attracting a lot of key free agents and also trade targets and players that are willing to waive their no movement clause or no trade clause, whatever the case might be, in order to play with New Jersey. Their two goalies waived their respective no trade clauses in order to be dealt to New Jersey, Jake Allen and Jacob Markstrom. And Fitzy touched on that a little bit. Take a listen.
I think it started a few years back when Dougie Hamilton picked us and Andre Palat picked us. We've drafted well. When you're drafting a Jack Hughes and a Nico Hischier and a Jesper Bratt, and then the Timo Meyers want to join that type of group, it's nice. It's a nice feeling that New Jersey's a destiny for top players. When your phone rings from agents on July 1st of top players in the league, you're building something here, and you're building a place where players want to come because they see a chance and opportunity to win.
The culture in New Jersey is changing, in my opinion. And I think it centers back to Dougie Hamilton. And this is one of the reasons why I can't stand people who slander Dougie Hamilton. Because without Dougie Hamilton, there is no free agency like this. Without Dougie Hamilton, there is no Timo Meier. There is no big name asset wanting to come play for New Jersey. It doesn't happen because the Devils were struggling to attract big name players. But one guy changed that a few years ago, and that was Dougie Hamilton. Hamilton had already established himself in the NHL. At one point, he had a legitimate chance of possibly winning the Norris. We knew that Dougie Hamilton was a very good player, and he was one of the top free agents in summer 2021. And he signed a multi-year contract to play with the Devils. And that sort of rushed the rebuild because now the Devils have a big name, established player on the roster who is an all-star and once again always had his name in the running for the Norris Trophy. And Dougie Hamilton is a very good offensive-minded defenseman. And after that, after the 2021-2022 season, the Devils were linked to some big-name players, albeit they didn't get them, but they still got like someone like Andre Palat, who had already won 2 Stanley Cups, Erik Haula, who's been in the league for a while. And let me tell you guys something. Erik Haula has only missed the playoffs twice in his career. 2019 with the Vegas Golden Knights due to injury, and just this past season with the Devils. He only plays on playoff caliber rosters. Timo Meier being dealt to New Jersey. Jake Allen and Jacob Markstrom waiving their no trade clauses to be dealt to New Jersey. Dougie Hamilton is not only just like great when it comes to playing, he's also great when it comes to marketing, because I saw that he was at development camp and he and Curtis Lazar did a funny skit revealing the Devils' schedule. Honestly, I don't really care for things like that. I don't really think too much of schedule reveals. I think it's a bit much, but I must say I had a chuckle here or there when I saw Curtis Lazar and Dougie Hamilton, that dynamic, just revealing parts of the schedule for the Devils, saying that Ohio couldn't even get it right on the map. Then they made a joke about New York voting the best pizza based in New Jersey, or that the Statue of Liberty is based in New Jersey, whatever the case might be. It was just funny and entertaining. Dougie Hamilton is a gem. He's a character, and I will accept no Dougie Hamilton slander. And I think we should be more appreciative as to what he's done for the Devils. And I think Fitzy now sees that the culture has shifted for the Devils, similar to what Brendan Dillon told me a couple days ago. Let me know what you guys think. What did you think about free agency so far for Devils? What did you think of Tom Fitzgerald's answers? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment down below if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening on podcast streaming service, hit me up on my personal X page app at TreyMatt4 or the show's X page app at Locked On Devils. As for today's episode, that's all the time I have for you. Continue to stay safe. Have a wonderful day, New Jersey. Go Devils. I'll catch you guys next episode. Thanks for listening once again.